Hello, welcome again to new launch, new day, new launch. So today we have the 100th launch of the Ariane 5, which is pretty special because it's a huge milestone in for our European launcher. So today I'll show you the Ariane 5. This does have the wrong stage, the wrong second stage, but I was looking for the correct second stage and I couldn't find it. It's lost somewhere in my storage. So this is basically the variant they used for the Galileo satellites to launch it. It's overexposed. I don't think I can. Yeah, I can. This and this is actually the version they use today. So there has to be a second stage on top of here, which is like the interstage, and then on top there is a second stage, and then the long fairing goes on top of that, and of course next to the core stage we have the boosters, but these are also from the ES version, since I seem to have lost mine from the other launch or the other rocket. I have two. I have the ES version, so that's the one that uses the storable propellant in the second stage, and I have the cryogenic version, but the cryogenic version is damaged / lost in transport. So yeah, this rocket is gonna take let's do quick math. It's gonna take about, what is the weight of the second satellite? It doesn't tell me the weight. Let me just scroll through the whole page. Let me see. It's gonna take about 9.9 tons to GTO, so that's pretty heavy. I don't think there is a rocket that takes more payload to geostationary transfer orbit. I know there are rockets that can, but I don't know if there are rockets there that do this, because the Ariane 5 is something special, which is the dual launch capability, and that means that they have inside the fairing, so inside this part, and to about here on the inside there is another small fairing. Inside of that there's another satellite, so, and on top of it is the satellite. So in the top portion of the fairing is a satellite, and in the bottom portion of the fairing there's a satellite, and it's underneath the SILDA, which is the system Ariane double lancement, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Système de lancement double Ariane. So that means that they can launch two satellites underneath. And today they are launching the Horizon 3E and the Azerspace-2 / Intelsat. The Horizon 3E is for Sky Perfect JSAT, and it was built by Boeing, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let's just go over this. Yes, it is, and the other one was built by SSL, and they are the Azerspace-2 / Intelsat is for Azerbaijan and Intelsat. So they have two names because their payload is shared, because the payload on the satellite is actually the transmission disk and transmission equipment, and those are shared between the Azerbaijan government and Intelsat. So that's why they have two names. It's just one satellite but two names for the satellite. And they will the Azerspace and slash Intelsat is going to be located at 45 degrees east, and the Horizons 3E is going to be at 169 degrees east. And what do we have even more to tell you? No, we are just, let me check the time. We should be under 20 minutes to launch. Ariane Space still doesn't have any stream live. Oh yeah, I can tell you what happened. So these boosters, they are provide like 13 times the thrust of the main Vulcan engine at liftoff, but they burn through their 226 tons of propellant in just under 2 minutes. So that's not really a mileage you want in your car. Yeah, the drone ship is really big. It's next to me. It's like 2 meters behind me, so it's really big. Awesome looking rocket. Yeah, it is. I should repair it. I even have the launch pad of it. I'm not gonna get it out, but I still need to finish that. I need to put the wheels underneath. And yeah. So today what you're gonna see is basically you'll see them come down to 0, and at 0 they're not gonna launch. They're just gonna ignite the Vulcan main engine, and then after then after 7 seconds, if everything checks out, they will ignite the boosters, both boosters, and they will launch it. Just put it together so you can see what it looks like, and then they will go over it. They will go up, even further, and then the boosters will burn out. They will burn out just about 2 minutes. They will drop away, both of them, and they will fall into the ocean. Then 7 minutes, or no, 9 minutes and 55 seconds, or 8 minutes 55 seconds after ignition, the core stage will shut down. It will separate, and then the second stage will take over, and that will be burning until 25 minutes and 29 seconds. Do they recover the boosters from the ocean? No, they don't. Have you seen a part of the rocket that's just sitting at the side of the road of life? Yeah, I did. I actually did. That is the the bottom thrust structure of the Ariane 5. I've seen it, yes. And they don't recover the boosters from the ocean, but they used to before the first few launches. So as you all know, the first one blew up because they were converting a 64-bit number into a 16-bit number, and then the computer overloaded, and so it crashed. But that is actually only one of 2 failures of the Ariane 5 in its 100 launches. So yeah, that's pretty good. And a few launches back, we had a partial failure, but it still got the satellites into their orbit, so I really wouldn't call it a failure. It was just some kind of it's a partial failure or a partial success. But they used to recover them, but they wouldn't reuse boosters. They would just recover them and check if the boosters are okay once they've burnt out. Can everyone just collect any booster if they find one? Well, good luck, because the ocean is like 2-3 kilometers deep where they are, and they just crash into the ocean, and I think they immediately sink. Yeah, they don't really use. Oh yeah, it's a funny thing. Actually, what I know is that the igniters for both boosters and for the engine uses 3 igniters. Both, all of them are made in the Netherlands. They are made in, I don't know, it's just an hour's drive from here. Buffering frequently, okay. I don't seem to have a issue with that. Okay. The booster squad is integrated. Yeah, they just hit the ground with probably over 300 kilometers an hour. They're falling really fast. Yeah, so the 3 igniters the Ariane 5 uses, I learned this recently, and I think it's really special. They use igniters that are basically tiny solid rocket engines. So for the a rocket engine has it has 2 turbopumps, one for the fuel, one for the oxidizer. In this case, it's liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, and we have a pre-burner which burns a small amount of propellant, creates gas, and then drives the turbines, and then it drives the turbines, and then it leads the fuel into the combustion chamber, and the engine ignites. So actually, the Ariane 5, the core the core, the main stage, uses 3 igniters. It uses 1 to fire up the gas generator, which is the tiny burning engine, and then they use 1 to spool up to get the turbopumps up to speed. So probably they first ignite the one that gets turbopumps up to speed, then they fire the gas generator one, and then they have another one for actually the main combustion chamber, which ignites the main combustion chamber. So they use 3, and that's why if they have ignited the engine and they need to in those 7 seconds something happens and they need to scrub the launch, it takes a few days, because engineers need to go out. First of all, they need to connect the cryogenic arms again that are on top of the stage. You will see them in a minute. And secondly, they need to replace the igniters in the first stage. Did you see that OP has been spotted on Mars by the Mars reconnaissance? I did not see that, but I know it's still not in contact. So OP is not lost. They last Wednesday they started a 45-day clock, and after those 45 days we don't have any signal, they will declare it lost. They will still be listening afterwards, but after 3 months they will stop. They will stop communicating with it, or actively trying to. We have footage now, so let me pull that up.
Ces années, elle a subi pas mal de changements. Nous regardons un film qui va tout nous montrer.
Was it still moving after last contact? No, they Opportunity, they saw the rover coming, so they were actually putting it in a low power mode, and right now it probably has some clock failures and it doesn't
Après
know what
22
time
ans,
it is.
Ariane 5 est l'un des lanceurs les plus fiables de l'industrie. Il a été sans cesse amélioré avec 5 versions différentes. La première était Ariane 5G, en service entre 1996 et 2003. Puis la G+, avait un
upper stage running on solid propellant. That was replaced by the GS in 2005 with improved boosters and a cryogenic stage.
It's pretty cool.
ES
They're
model
gonna
launched a heavier payload
land
to
another
low Earth
one
orbit. It had a more powerful
on the
Vulcan
3rd
engine
of
and
October.
an upper stage capable of reignition. With the most launches under its belt came Ariane 5 ECA. Since 2002, its improved Vulcan engine and upper stage upgraded from storable to cryogenic propellant, it has launched 66 times. That's the one we're using today. The record mass
rocket
for
launches
Ariane
aren't
5 to
really
LEO is
ecological, although
20,750 kilos
this one
and
is
nearly 10
using,
tons to geotransfer orbit. Its
hydrogen
reliability
oxygen,
is
which only
impressive,
produces water, which isn't
98.1%, and
bad,
12 European countries
but I know
helped to make
water
Ariane
vapor
5.
is also being
So there you have it.
gas.
Ariane 5, a truly European project, and lots of prestigious passengers over the years. And 2 more waiting to start their journey today. Thierry, how are things progressing?
This is actually the launcher I was talking about.
Katie,
This
everything
is the Ariane 5.
fine. All systems are go. Remember,
Am I a bit
this
quiet?
evening we
Okay.
have a launch window from 6:53 to 7:38 p.m. local time and 9:53 to 10:38 p.m. UTC, 45 minutes, which is a very comfortable margin. The CSG has been in activity for 50 years now. And over this time, teams have learned to adapt very quickly. You're going to see they need to be flexible and to know how to take initiatives.
Yeah,
You can see
hypergolics
this
are
on
toxic,
this,
but they
these
don't
images.
use hypergolics
Last
on this
July, we
stage.
witnessed the switchover of 2 launchers.
On this rocket, they don't
following
use
a change in
hypergolics.
its launch date, VA243 had to leave the final assembly building.
Oh yeah.
So
This
that
was also
VA244 to take
the
its
rocket
place.
that
It
took
launched
part
July.
in
It was then
what we
moved
called
to
the
launch
rocket
integration
dance,
building. So
because
here we see
the
pictures of
last
those
launch
2
was the
giants
Galileo
crossing
launch
paths.
that
Just
had
imagine
the
that
flight
each launcher
number
on its table weighs 1,200
200
tons, which is very impressive.
44, and this
So
is
we'll go back to Katie out
243.
on
That's
the
because
terrace,
this was actually
and here we see a
supposed to
beautiful
launch
shot
before the Galileo one,
of
but then
the Jupiter building and the
originally
model.
JSAT
We're out on the
6,
terrace now
no,
with
JSAT
Katie. How's it
11,
going out there, Katie?
the Indian satellite
is
was
certainly
on
a
there,
big and
they
powerful beast, a titan.
had
She's
actually a
divided into
failure
3
with
sections.
the
We call those
Ariane,
stages.
or with
The
the
boosters
JSAT
constitute
6A,
the first
so they
stage,
needed
the
to check
main
something,
stage,
so
and
they
then we
took
have the upper
the
stage, and she
JSAT
is
11 back to India,
54.8 meters tall,
and that's why the
weighing
launch
in
got
at a
delayed,
total of
and
776
actually they
tons.
swapped out
Now, if we take a
GSAT
little look inside the top of
6A
the vehicle, the
with,
fairing, we can see our passengers, Horizon 3E
Horizons
at the top
3E,
for Intelsat and its
I
partner
believe.
Sky Perfect JSAT Corporation.
Or what's the other
And
one?
below it,
One of the two was
Azerspace-2,
swapped, so they had 2
Intelsat
satellites on this
38
launch.
for
And,
Azerspace-2 and
but
Intelsat,
it took some
who are
time for
sharing
the other satellite to
capacity
get here
on
and to
the
be
one
prepared.
satellite.
So they actually had to take out, because it was in the final
Nice
assembly building
and
rocket,
comfortable
they had
in
to
there,
take it out
inside the
to the
fairing.
pad.
They've got
Then they
their air
had to
conditioning,
drive the Galileo one into the final
waiting for
assembly building,
liftoff, which is
drive the other rocket,
scheduled
drive
in
it back to the first
minutes
assembly
and,
building,
38
and
seconds.
then assemble the Galileo
And you could say
launcher,
they're in
move
first
it out to the
class,
pad, launch it, and then they could launch this launcher to the final assembly
So let's
building,
get some
assemble it,
details about this mission.
launch it.
Liftoff
That's
possible
it.
will start at 6:53 p.m. After 2 minutes and 19 seconds of flight, the
And
boosters will
the
drop
Ariane
off
5
at
have
3 minutes and 19
4
seconds. We'll
boosters.
have
No,
the
they
separation
can't.
of the fairing.
That's only for the Ariane
After
6.
9 minutes and 1 second, a jettisoning of the main cryogenic stage will
And
take
the
place.
Ariane 6 will have
and
2
there
versions,
will be
which is
afterwards
the
ignition of the
2
upper
booster one
stage,
and the
and
4
at
booster
28
one.
minutes and 19 seconds, separation of the first satellite at the upper position, Horizons 3E. And
So,
at 42 minutes
after
and
launch,
17
after the
seconds, we
engine
will
shuts
have
down,
separation position
gonna
of
have
the
a
second
sort of
passenger, Azerspace-2, Intelsat 38. So the thrust at
second stage is
liftoff
going to
this
maneuver
evening is
itself
10
into
tons,
position, and then it's
827 kilos,
going to slowly rotate,
including
release the upper satellite, then
9.941
move another way,
tons for the satellite
rotate
themselves.
slowly,
It's not a
and
record,
then
but it almost is. So we're about 10 minutes and
separate the
30
Silda,
seconds
which
from
is the
lift
part
up.
that tracks
Lift
the
off,
lower
all
satellite.
systems are go,
Then,
all the panels
it will
are green.
rotate
We are
even
waiting for the
further
last
another way, and then
weather
it will
update,
release
which
the
takes
second
place at
satellite,
H
and
minus
it
10 minutes,
does this
lift off
to,
minus 10 minutes.
prevent
And
any
we
collisions.
will communicate those results to you in a few seconds. So back to Katie Haswell.
So the CSG is in French Guiana, of course, for anyone who's not familiar. We're on the northeastern coast of South America. It's pure Amazonia. It's hot and it's humid. It's a very, very beautiful country. We've been flying over with our drone, looking at the town of Cacao.
Is it still too loud?
Located 70 kilometers from the capital city Cayenne, in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, the village of Cacao is a farming community, which is part of the municipality of Roura.
It's a GTO mission. Yeah,
In
I think I
1977,
said
a community
it
of
was a
farmers
GTO
originally
mission.
from Laos, called the Hmong, settled on the site of the former Sainte Marie de Cacao's plantation. And thanks to their tenacity, they turned Cacao into the leading supplier of fresh
So
fruit
is
and
it still
vegetables
too
in French
loud?
Guiana,
Because
as well as a major tourist attraction.
I
Indeed, tourism to the village is actually
think my
growing
OBS
thanks to
is
the market,
not
which
really
is held on
cooperating.
Sundays, and where people can buy food and Hmong woven and embroidered handicrafts. The traditional Hmong New Year has become one of the most important events in the village. In April, the Rambutan Festival, which showcases the fruit that belongs to the lychee family, attracts lots of tourists. There's a small museum which exhibits a collection of
so they
insects
actually launched from
and
the
live
middle of the
butterflies.
rainforest.
The village has also developed eco-tourism, including jungle hikes and water sports such as canoeing and kayaking on the Conte River.
Is this okay?
The
Still too loud?
Space Center is about 120 kilometers from.
Okay, the one thing,
in
in OBS, there you have two bars. You have your microphone and the desktop audio. But if you move the slider for your volume in the middle, it
There are
basically
no
is
mosquitoes inside,
12%
at least
of
not
the
for now.
original
So
volume.
let's go into the fishbowl behind
My mic is at
me. You can see the flight
250%,
desk.
so I don't know
It's,
what is
directed
happening.
by Stéphane Israel and assisted by Roland Lagier,
So,
who's the
yeah.
CTO and Vice
I could
President
also
of
do
quality.
this, but it
This
looks
is
stupid.
the main nerve center, the control center, and these two persons will take all the necessary decisions so that the countdown proceeds smoothly and security measures are respected throughout the base. So it seems that
Do this, man.
everything is positive. The weather forecast, the weather update
Yay.
was also positive.
Weathers
Behind
go.
me,
That's also
everything is
very
going
important.
normally. On the
But
panel you can see that all
weather is.
Attention pour la séquence finale lanceur.
And there we go. We go into the final countdown in
in
2, 1. Final countdown. It's a final countdown. Yeah. So as you can see, all the things are green. Oh, my face is in front of it. I will move my face out of the way.
Now in the launch campaign.
Like 3, 2, 1. Poof! Whoa, magic! No.
The VA243 launch campaign began on April 5 at the Launcher Integration Building. We first assembled the main stage and the two solid rocket boosters.
So,
Then we placed the upper stage
these
on the
things
stage.
at the bottom,
In parallel, numerous tests and checks
if
were
you
carried
are
out to
wondering
ensure
what
that
those
the
are,
defensive
this
systems
is actually
could make
a
the launcher were
liquid
functioning
helium
properly.
tank. There
In
is
May,
liquid
the
helium inside of
VA243
here
mission was modified
that
with a launch final
goes
scheduled for September.
past the engine,
Our launcher was
heats
thus
up,
placed in a
and
secure
then
configuration,
expands
then
massively massively, and then it will be used as to pressurize the tank, so there's fuel leaving it and to take up the space of the fuel and to keep the pressure. They will just put the helium gas inside of it, and because it's a noble gas, it doesn't react, so they don't get any nasty reactions of the rocket.
And mechanical feed check before another transfer to S3B. In this building, Space System Loral has carried out the pneumatic electrical checkout.
So before that's what you see them in the crazy spacesuits. They're actually fueling the launch, spacecraft with hydrogen, which is really toxic, and that's why they work in those spacesuits to fuel the rocket.
Then the Horizon 3E satellite has been nominally fueled. Combined operation with the launcher have started for Horizon 3E on August 31, starting by its mating on payload adapter. Then it was transferred to the BAF building, hoisted onto the Ariane dual launch structure, so-called.
So that's the cylinder. You see the black part that's on top of the bottom satellite, and on top of that. What's the most environmentally friendly rocket fuel? I would say
on September 15.
Liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, but the steam, so water vapor, is an even better at keeping the heat, so containing heat, so I wouldn't really say that. Let's say no rocket fuels are really environmental friendly, but I don't really want to say something is more eco-friendly than something else, because
I would like to take
rockets aren't
our customer,
eco-friendly.
Perfect, JSAT, Azerspace-2, the manufacturer, Boeing, Space System Loral, and all the team involved in the satellite preparation campaign that will lead to the Ariane 5 Flight 100.
And there she
3
is,
minutes to launch. Yay!
Number 3 here at the spaceport in French Guiana. Each of our 3 launch zones has its own dedicated control center. It's called launch control. So, whereas the mission controllers deal with the whole mission, everything across
also
the
some on the
deal with only the launch.
I don't know if they're going to show, but on the second stage there are 2 blocks on the outside, and those are basically after the stage separates. Those are tiny rocket engines which fire to keep the fuel settled, so keep the fuel at the bottom of the fuel tanks, and then the engine ignites, the engine on the second stage ignites, and then those blocks are separated, but those are basically to keep fuel settled.
Concerning the launch vehicle and the launch zone.
They don't really give a lot of thrust, but they just have enough thrust to keep the fuel in the second stage settled.
Their job is to make sure
Huge
Ariane
motors,
is
yeah.
ready for takeoff. Right now, they're
And it
monitoring
also
during the
helps
synchronized
separating the 2 stages,
computers
because
are running the final
actually on
controls
the
right
second
now,
stage
as
you will
we heard
see
earlier,
this,
and they have to
or on
make
the
an awful lot of
cryogenic
checks
stage.
in a very short space of time.
You'll see the white spot.
Once
That's
all
actually
configurations
the
are
liquid
correct,
oxygen valve,
the onboard computer will give the
and
order to start
it will
launch.
open after separation, so the stage will actually have a sort of retro thrust, and then
So we are
it
now
will
1
start
minute and
spinning.
34 minutes to launch, getting close, acute
I will shut up
concentration.
now.
You can see the people coming out onto the terraces here at the control center. This is the Jupiter building that we're looking at here from a distance with our drone.
And we're no go. We're red. Something has come up. This means we need to go back to the T-7 minutes, because that's the the recycled position of this rocket. It's not a hold, it's yeah, it is a hold, but they don't continue counting from 1 minute and 40.
Arrêt du temps des comptes suite à un rouge moyen de la base de lancement. Que tous les moyens restent prêts pour la reprise de la chronologie à H0-7 minutes.
They will move the clock back to T-7 minutes. And I think something with the launcher is wrong, if I heard that correctly. My French isn't really good, but I think something has come up with on the launcher itself. And it's hopefully just a hold, but it's not common for... Let me check if something is going on. Does my Twitter seem to be... Come back to... Yeah, they had a... so basically the synchronized sequence over here, so the ground computer's talking to the computers on the rocket, that would and they are synchronizing their data. That will start at T-7 minutes, and in those 7 minutes to launch, there is hand over to internal power to also the topping of the fuel will stop. Then they will pressurize the tanks just a few minutes before launch, and then they will actually move all the internal guidance, so that they will check if the computer has the correct directions programmed into it, and then they will actually go ahead and launch. And I want to see what is actually the red on the board, because if it's the launcher itself, we might be looking at a scrub, because sometimes it takes too much time to find out what it is, but we'll just have to wait. Do you speak French? I can understand it just a little bit, but I dropped French in school. I prefer German. Wow. I'm just checking my Twitter to see if some tweet. A red has occurred, the countdown is on hold. Yeah, I noticed that, because there is a red countdown bar flashing. Not. It should be flashing. It'd be like, warning, something is wrong. Warning, warning. No, wouldn't that be funny? There's a beautiful video about Vulcan production, but it's in German. Yeah, I know it is in German, because actually all the engines are tested in Germany. They are shipped there for a test firing in Germany. Would you like to introduce it for us? Yes, sure. Now? I can understand. German, and I can understand German. I can't speak German, but I can understand. Yeah, German. Sure, okay, yeah, we'll do it. It's an Azerbaijan satellite, yeah. It's partly Azerbaijan. The payload, so the capabilities of that satellite are shared between Intelsat and the Azerbaijan government. But it's on hold, so we'll just have to wait. So yeah, and again, I don't. I think this, or actually, the Ariane is the one that puts the most payload at one time into geostationary orbit. I can't remember a rocket that puts more into GTO than the Ariane. What's the next launch you will be covering? I think it's going to be the first return to launch site rocket from the Falcon. It's a Falcon. I think it's the Syocom 1. It's a polar satellite. It's going to be in a polar orbit. And yeah, I need to read up on all the satellites. I do that just a few hours before launch or a few days. But I don't really know a lot about it yet. But it's going to be cool because it's going to be the first return to launch site on the East Coast. Because it's going to be landing at landing zone 4. They're calling the landing zone, and it's really close to the pad, as in the you have in the Cape you have the launch pad, and it's 2 miles, I believe. So that is, what is it, 4 kilometers between the launch pad and the landing pad. But between the launch pad and the landing pad on the East Coast, so on the West Coast, it's 4 kilometers. On the East Coast, it's only a few hundred meters between the launch and the landing pad. So that's gonna be really special. So I'll check my Twitter again. Let's see if someone knows what's up. Twitter. Twitter? No. I'm gonna. No. No, not really. I can't find anyone that tweeted, "Hey, it's this." So, what time is it? We have just over 38 minutes left in the window, so that means that they'll have 30 minutes till they need to scrub it. I'm gonna okay, since there's nothing happening, let's do some basic. Let's trace what happens. Is there something that happens at minus 1 minute? No, it's too soon. No, there's not really something we can find that happened. So as you can see here, what I said, at 1 day ignite, the first stage, T0 is the reference time, and so and at 5 seconds, .05 they ignited boosters, and then 3 seconds they launch. But I don't really think it's still gonna happen today. Otherwise, we would have heard something. There hasn't been. We answered my question. Do you speak French? I answered that. I don't. I can understand it a bit, but I don't speak French. I dropped it in school, so yeah. And if you're just tuning into my stream, we are today. It's the 100th launch of the Ariane 5, and at T-minus 1 minute and 35 seconds or 32 seconds, we had a hold, and we have to move back to T-minus 7 minutes now, because that's when the synchronized sequence. So those phase where the computer start checking every value, every digit, that started T-minus 7 minutes, so they had to move it back to T-minus 7 minutes and put it on hold. And today hopefully we're launching 2 satellites, but it also might be the case that we're looking at a scrub, since it's taking a little bit longer, and it might have to do with the launcher. And if it's some problem on one of the satellites, we might be looking at a very long delay. So please stay tuned. I don't have extra info on the rocket right now, so I will be looking at my phone and checking Twitter once in a while. I'd like to see the what's red on the board, but they won't show us. Ariane Space is also not tweeting, so yeah. So after this launch, the next launch is gonna be really special. It's gonna be in the middle of the night for me, but I probably will get up for it because it's once in a lifetime thing. The next launch is gonna be Bepi Colombo, which is gonna travel to Mercury, and it's gonna be awesome. And they actually are gonna launch it on the Ariane 5, same rocket as they're launching here, same version, but it's gonna do really cool stuff. So that's why I really want to see it. It's actually the 19th of October at 1:45 a.m. UTC, I believe, and I probably will be streaming that because that is going to be really cool. And what do we have coming up? In between that, I don't really think there's a lot in between. I can check the launch schedule. Launch schedule. Oh, it's the Saocom 1A that is the first landing on land in California, and we have an Atlas V, and a Soyuz launching to the International Space Station. I'm not able to cover that because I will be at school. I won't be at school. I will be on an excursion then. Okay. And Wednesday, October 6:15 in the morning. I could cover that. Depends on what launch. Okay, I don't know what language that is. I only speak English, sorry. And we also have, oh yeah, we have the Pegasus XL with Icon finally on Friday the 26th. Oh, I will be able to cover that. That will be in my holidays. And then H2A. And yeah. Ooh, Launcher 1 is also upcoming. Another GSLV Mark III. So this one is gonna launch on its third test launch again, and yeah. So are there any questions about this rocket or any other rocket in general, since we need to kill time somehow? It's more buzzing now. Okay. So for the European launchers, the next launch is going to be the Bepi Colombo. After that, they're going to launch a weather satellite with a Soyuz from France Guyana. It's going to be the Metop C. And after that launch, we will have to wait a while for launch. In December, GSAT-11 is going to take off. And I don't really see any launches before that. Are the Japanese rockets the only ones in active service that have more than 2 boosters? More than 2 boosters. Yes and no. Okay, this is gonna be yes, because for solid rocket boosters, right now they're the only ones that are in active service. And no, because the Angara 5 has 4 liquid strap-on boosters, and they are strapped on into the core stage, and they do a sort of similar to a Delta for heavy, which means they throttle down the center engine and then they drop away the stages and then throttle up the engine, the sensor engine again. So yeah, and the Soyuz, of course. But Soyuz, Angara, and But for a solid rocket booster, it is really cool. I'm living in Kourou. Cool! Can you see the launch? Actually, are you going out to see the launch? And I think also the GLSV Mark II, the Indian rocket, is has 4 boosters on its first stage. I want to go to Kourou sometime and watch your launch. So they have, right now they have just 15 minutes left to fix the issue. And we're still waiting on something. But I think it's more likely we're looking at a scrub. I'm sorry. Already on, we're waiting. I don't like waiting. Just light the thing. Whoa! Waiting is like wasting time. It's wasting time. Yeah. Well, yeah. I will just leave the sound on, and I will just go here. Oh no, no, I don't want this. Sorry. Okay, this was. I should probably turn it off next time. Did they mention what caused red? I don't think they did. It was. I thought he said something with the launcher itself, which is likely since it's taking such a long time. But basically, for the shuttle lovers, guess what I'm building? This has to go on like this. This is the shuttle tower, and so yeah. FSS, yes, it is. Because of the clouds. Okay, so it's weather actually. Is it? I don't know. And so this is the base of the fixed server structure. The crew deck. Yeah. I've been installing all the equipment on the decks, which is taking me like a crap ton of time because they're so tiny and there are a lot of details on there. Some decks only have two parts, but there are like the crew deck and the, which deck is this? It's the deck just on top of the crew deck. They have a lot of details, and it takes a lot of time. This is actually the structure. This is the main tower, so I'm dropping rocket parts all around me. Basically, this is how tall the tower is gonna be. How many decks? Let's count. It has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 plus the ground thing, the ground level, which is actually elevated above sea level. They refer to it as the 35-foot level. And SpaceX installed a new level in between two. So I believe it was between the this was the level the crew would go on into the launcher, but I think between the level above it and these two, SpaceX installed a new deck, and there's where their crew arm is. Do you play KSP at all? Yes, I do. I'm actually planning on making rocket launches inside of KSP, recording that, and then when I'm live streaming it, using the KSP graphic as a side graphic to show you what the launcher is doing. But I was testing it out a few days ago, and then what happens is the mods aren't updated, so I installed some mods but are not working in the new versions, which is a shame, but I'll just need to wait. Or I need to revert to another KSP version, which I probably will do. And especially since the Indian launches don't have their graphics, I thought it would be cool to show you what the rocket is doing. So I'll probably start on that with the Indian launches, and then maybe I will do it with the Ariane launches. And what do we have? But they also all have graphics already, so. Yeah, we have another 18 minutes ago. 18 minus 7 is 11 minutes till they need to decide on whether they go or they scrub. And I think we're looking at a scrub, but I will just be here. Is it rain? But it could be wind also. If you're looking at the flags, I'm looking at the flags. Let me show you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the flags. It doesn't like me at all. Well, one thing, just KSP is fun. Okay, you'll learn eventually. I probably have played more than 1,000 hours of it, so I can be quite good at it. But sometimes you see the wind gusting, and you'll see the flags go really like they're held up by something. That could also be one of the issues, because wind gusts are not really favorable for rocket launches. But it could also just be to a rocket, and I don't know if it's raining, but it looks like it. I don't know. It's the the footage is not really that great to judge if they're actually if it's actually rain or not. But KSP is cool. I can probably in some I when I have a holiday, when I have my holiday, I can probably just go on and do recreate some real launches in a live stream. That would be fun. Instead of a building live stream, to a KSP stream. Aren't they being usually quiet about the whole? Don't they normally provide more info? I don't think so, because with the launch failure, I was actually watching live. I saw the telemetry drop out. Actually, that was the first thing that occurred to me. If you would have seen it in the beginning of the launch, you would see the green line. That would be the normal trajectory, and then you saw the green line, the green line from the actual trajectory deviating from the green line. I saw that and I was like, okay, well, this is weird. And then the telemetry dropped out, and they completely lost it. And I thought, well, but they weren't providing any info on it until they actually, at the end of the launch, they knew something was wrong. But if they don't know what the issue is, they can't really provide any info on it. So, but if it's indeed weather, they can at least tell us. That would be fair. Also, with the scrub, I think it was last year's August or September. They had a launch. They ignited the engine, and they needed then the rocket just held the countdown. It was due to one of the boosters guidance systems. I believe it was off nominal. I don't really know what was up with it, but they didn't release a statement until 3, 4, 5 hours after launch, so they knew what was wrong. I think it was even the day after. Easter launch some months ago, when the announcer kept saying things were nominal when the telemetry and video hinted otherwise. Yeah, you know, do you mean the launch where the fairing didn't separate and the sellout was just inside of the fairing? But yeah, everybody's completely silent. I don't know what's up with that. Yep, yeah. I think we are actually looking at a scrub. I think it's getting more and more likely. Oh, there are sources coming in that we have a 24-hour recycle. Did you hear about the mysterious incident at the Solar Observatory in the US? No, I didn't. I should look that up. No, to be fair, my I've been offline for a few days last week, and it basically was because my grandpa is in the hospital right now. Nothing serious, everything is fixed, but he did have a heart attack, so I missed some news, and it was quite hectic the whole week. So it was shut down by the FBI. Why was it shut down by the FBI? The FBI. What?
À tous de DDO, retour au vert de tous les moyens de la base de lancement. Le nouvel H0 visé est en TU 22h38 minutes, soit en local 19h38 minutes.
The end of the window.
On redémarrera à H0-7 minutes en heure TU à 22h31 minutes, soit 19h31 minutes.
Yes, so the new launch time is 38 minutes, or actually 8 minutes, 38 minutes past 12 for me, 12 in the night, so yeah. 10:38 p.m. UTC. New launch date, so we should start counting in 3 minutes. That's weird to shut down a observatory with... Wow, that's weird. So right now, if anything again holds up the countdown, we have to recycle. There is gonna be a scrub. So yeah, any questions so far again on the rocket? If I need to repeat something, just go ahead. I'm here, I'm your encyclopedia, I'm your rocket encyclopedia. But the fixed surface structure is not the only thing I'm working on. It's also the rotating surface structure. But since the rotating surface structure is fixed to the fixed surface structure, I need to build the fixed surface structure first. So, but it's gonna take me a long time since there are a lot of parts. So we should again we're working. So we have two satellites. The top satellite is the Horizon 3E. The lower satellite is the Azerspace-2 / Intelsat 38. And they're going to geostationary transfer orbit, which means that the first point in their orbit. So we're now counting down again. And it means that their farthest point of the orbit is at 36,700 something kilometers. And they will be going in an egg-shaped orbit, and they will satellites will themselves will actually circularize the orbit, so they stay in one place. My theory is that the observatory shut down with something was going to happen with white sand, and they don't want iron sand. I've actually seen something. It could be
Tout à fait. En fait, c'est un ensemble de moyens qui sont
the final countdown, yes, hopefully.
Les satellites, mais aussi la base de lancement, qui est très importante parce que c'est tous les moyens de
It will be taking off in
de sauvegarde liés au lancement.
6 minutes and 7 seconds. So they will count down to 0, then they ignite the engine, and at 7 seconds they ignite the boosters and launch it. And those yellow arms you can see, they are for second stage. They deliver the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen to the
since you
rocket.
are a launcher technical authority, that adds stress. You have to find time, find the problem. Yes, but the teams are very well trained and are used to handling this kind of incident. So the synchronized sequence has started again. It's an obligation to go back to -7 minutes. There is a whole series of procedures and actions that are very quick that have to be done on
That's
the
what I
launcher,
said.
and they are automated. Can you explain these procedures? There are 3 parallel synchronized sequences that take place. The first controls the EPC, one concerns the electricity and electronic facilities, and the third concerns the upper stage. So what does that mean? Everything that's fluids, and make sure that everything is okay. We're working with oxygen and hydrogen. We have to reload oxygen and hydrogen, those liquids. We pressurize them both at the EPC and the upper stage. And then for the upper stage, we open the and then there are a whole number of activities that are recording the new hour of liftoff and the commutation of the ground to the batteries and all the electrical equipment.
So these arms, actually, these arms you see on the side, the yellow arms, they will retract at T-14 seconds. So if they have a any hold right now, will automatically recycle the launch because they don't have enough time in the window. Ariane 5 doesn't use cryogenic propellant gas. It does, actually. They use liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen.
The cryogenic arms move back.
Or T-6 seconds, sorry. The yellow arms you see in the image, they will retract.
English speakers are going to listen to Katie Haswell. Katie, who is going to talk during the last 3 minutes of the countdown, and we are going to continue with our French friends.
So we are 2 minutes now and 50 seconds to launch, and we can confirm, yes, that the was given due to the launch zone and not the launcher itself. And if you take a look there at the top of the launch,
we had a wayward.
You can see
boat.
Those big yellow structures 3/4 of the way up. Those are called the cryogenic arms, and they are
so basically what I was mentioning is that if after in a normal condition, if they wouldn't take the launch time as the last point of the window, if after those T-6 seconds something happens, they need to scrub automatically because the arms had retracted and they can't refill, they can't just enable them again because the umbilicals will just basically it's the connectors sort of fall out and then the doors closed and then the arms retract, and they need to scrub because they need to reconnect the arms for the next launch time.
Control room terraces getting ready to watch the launch now from outside
again
with their own eyes. We are 1 minute
we
and
passed
27
the point where
launch.
last time it was put on
Range
hold.
Operations manager, waiting for him to announce the final minute.
attention pour moins 1 minute.
Let's go. Go, go, go. 100 launch.
Top. À 0 moins 1 minute.
And we are 1 minute to launch. We're live at the Guyana Space Center. The launch of Horizon 3E for Intelsat and Sky Perfect JSAT Corporation, built by Boeing, and Azerspace-2, Intelsat 38 for Azerscosmos and Intelsat, built by Space Systems L'Oral. Our very best wishes now to all the teams. Let's sit back and watch the launch.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
There go the arms.
4, 3, 2, 1, top.
Engine ignition.
Allumage Vulcain.
There we go. Launch.
Allumage EAP.
Liftoff.
EVA 243, 6, Ariane 5.
Beautiful. Beautiful images.
Les paramètres à bord sont nominaux.
And a launch has never been scrubbed because of someone's drone.
La propulsion est nominale.
The keep out zone around the rocket is just too large for
Toujours
that.
nominal.
If skies are clear enough, we
Sont nominaux, la propulsion est nominale.
are gonna be able to see the boosters fall off. Have you smells simple. Have you ever seen the Vega? It does it 3 times as quickly as the Ariane does.
La propulsion est nominale.
So about 30 seconds left in the flight phase of the boosters.
Well, there you have it. What an incredible sight. Ariane 5, the 100th launch today. There she is, blazing a trail across the night skies here at the Guyana Space Center. I have to tell you that it's really remarkable seeing that with your own eyes and hearing it. You can actually feel the
There they
vibration.
go. The boosters are
Coming up on separation of the boosters. Hopefully we will see that with
not
our own
separated
eyes. We've
yet.
been very lucky to have such
You will
beautiful
clearly
skies.
see the flame doing a weird thing once they burn out and separate. There they go. Separation of the boosters.
Séparation des deux EAP.
The core stage is now on its own.
Information there of the separation of the two boosters. So we are shedding weight. They burnt their propellants. We don't need them anymore. And you can see them there.
Les paramètres
Those
à
two
bord sont
dots
nominaux,
going to
la
the right
propulsion
and
est
left.
nominale.
And the dot in the middle is actually the Vulcan engine. It's the engine of the main stage. So you can see the launcher is flying away from us. Over now to the CGI images to look at that.
So as you see, you'll see the
Front of the vehicle, you can see that's what we call
above.
fairing.
This is the altitude versus the downrange distance, and then below there we have the ground path.
But if you look at our altitude on the
And
bottom
basically
left-hand
the
side of
green,
screen, you can see
the
that we
dark
are
green
now
is what they
100
predicted,
kilometers
and
above Earth,
then
and there's no longer any friction
the
because
yellow cross
the
is
air
actually
too
what
thin for that to
the
cause us any
actual
problems.
recorded position is.
And you can see this is the scheduled moment for separation of the fairing.
Separation of the fairing, yes.
Confirmed now by the
I love
operations
I love
manager.
seeing that flapping around, be like flap flap flap.
And we can see
It's a flying
how
fairing.
it bends
propulsion
as
de
it
PC est
falls.
nominale.
There, it's all part of the flat plan. It's called the breathing mode. So I am joined now here on the terrace by Laurent Jourdain, who was in the commentary box with Thierry. Hey Laurent, thank you very much indeed for coming here.
It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
It's quite something, isn't it, watching a launch like this?
Yes.
You've seen a lot of these, but
yes.
does it ever wear off?
I always. First the light and then the noise which vibrates internally and externally. It's amazing always.
And then of course we had to wait for about 40 seconds or so before we actually heard it.
Well, boosters actually don't really shut down before they separate, but if you look at the thrust versus time on a graph of the booster, solid rocket booster, they go up, then go slightly down. I know, actually, it depends on what the shape of the inside is, but that's a whole other subject. But mostly they, at ignition, the graph goes up really steep, then goes up really slowly, and then at the end it drops really sharp. And at that point where it drops really sharp, it's still burning, but it doesn't really produce any thrust. And that's the point where they separate the boosters, because they can't use the thrust of the boosters anymore. And actually the computer of the Ariane senses the drop in acceleration, and then it separates the boosters, which is really smart actually.
Let's say give a warm thanks to Reinhard Hildebrand, which is who arrived in French Guiana in 1984, and which will retire just after this launch, and all these years of patience and activeness on the launch vehicle activity.
And we actually saw Reinhard Hildebrand working. He's working tonight in the Launch Control Center, which is where you've spent many of your years.
Yes, that's right.
Working. And I was talking to him earlier, and he was telling me about how when he started back in 1984, they just had a little one fax machine. Listen, Laurent, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to send you back now to Thierry.
The core stage will accelerate to almost orbital velocity, but it will crash just in front of Ivory Coast, the coast of Ivory Coast. We'll be 200 kilometers in front of the coast, but
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sur le booster.
Off the screen. Our flight path takes us out across the Atlantic Ocean, along the equator, across Africa, and we'll start separating the satellite off the east coast of Africa, this Charlotte Biscuit. And the ground stations along the flight path are tracking Ariane as she flies over, and we call it telemetry. And right now the main stage is getting ready to switch its engine off. It's called the Vulcan engine, that's it, on the left-hand side there of the big tube in the middle, that's the main stage. It's been propelling us into the sky for 9 minutes now, nearly 9 minutes. It's extremely powerful. It burns 320 kilograms of propellant per second. And here is the scheduled moment now for the separation of that. So the main stage engine has switched off and the upper stage engine switches on. We started with 776 tons.
So in the CGI you saw the blocks going away, but I haven't heard confirmation of it, but
mass. And we're really beginning the next phase now in the journey, the upper stage.
I think they forgot to
let us know. The satellites.
Everything is normal. Okay.
Its job is to transport the satellites to their correct orbit so that we can release them, and we call this geotransfer orbit. From there they'll have to travel on their own to their final position in space, which is called geostationary orbit, and that's 36,000 kilometers above the Earth. And the first satellite to be separated will be Horizons 3E. The owners are a joint venture between Intelsat and Sky Perfect JSat. Intelsat is one of the world's leading satellite operators, and Sky Perfect JSat Corporation is Asia's largest satellite operator. And Intelsat, Sky Perfect JSat, and Arianespace are old friends. They've launched many times before, over 3 decades, and Horizons 3E will be the 60th satellite to be launched by Arianespace for Intelsat, and the 20th Sky Perfect JSat one to ride from the CSG.
Wow.
As you saw, the fairing has been jettisoned, and for the first time, the Intelsat satellite Horizons 3E is now visible on the top of the 100th Ariane 5. Horizons 3E is the 4th Boeing 702 MP satellite to be launched on Ariane after Intelsat 29E, Intelsat 33E, and Intelsat 37E that was launched just 1 year ago. Contrary to its predecessors, Horizons 3E carries an electrical propulsion system using xenon ion thrusters, also known as XIPs. It has a separated mass of 6,441 kilograms, including around 2,500 kilograms of propellant.
It might be a really happy time for the people who are working on the Ariane 5 new with all the
40 years ago,
I'll be very proud if I were part of this history.
Of the Intelsat fleet.
Yeah, that I would be proud too. Doesn't matter on what, but lives are better with SpaceX. What do you mean life is better with SpaceX? I don't really get it. What do you mean with that?
You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we can actually see the images of the satellites in space. The blue light you can see there is effectively the main stage engine. He's telling us that everything's going according to plan. And as we turn around here,
oh, views of separation,
on the right, you can see that we have the Horizons. He's telling us there's a planned loss of telemetry there for a few seconds, which has all been planned and organised, and then we pick that up again shortly.
I think he means that SpaceX puts on a better live show, and I have to disagree with that because
in the middle is a bad structure. We call it the Silda, and that's allowing the
except for the views on the rocket, Arianespace has some great views of the rockets.
Horizons 3E at the front and Azerspace. And we've picked up the signal at our next tracking station. Over to a film.
Thank you for joining us for the launch of Horizons 3E, the 6th of our Intelsat Epic high-throughput satellites. This launch marks our 4th satellite project with SkyPerfect JSat. It epitomizes collaboration within the space industry and the benefits that our partnership yields for the customers we collectively serve. Today represents a great milestone for Intelsat as Horizons 3E completes the first phase of our next-generation satellite network. Horizons 3E will increase Intelsat Epic's capabilities in Asia, expand coverage in the Pacific Ocean region, and become the first truly global C and Ku-band high-throughput network in the market today. Horizons 3E advances our Intelsat Epic technology. The satellite's enhanced digital payload features the highest throughput of the entire Intelsat Epic fleet. It has full beam interconnectivity in C and Ku-band and significant upgrades to power, efficiency, and coverage flexibility. The satellite's unique features will provide greater flexibility to our customers located at 169 degrees east. Aeronautical, maritime, mobility, and government customers will be able to match the satellite's capabilities with traffic demands. Fixed and wireless network operators will be able to cost-effectively expand their 3G and 4G networks and bring affordable broadband connectivity to communities and businesses in both developed and remote areas of Asia-Pacific. As we've seen with other Intelsat Epic satellites, corporate and enterprise networks will leverage the higher power and greater efficiencies to expand their networks to developing areas of the region and take full advantage of the resiliency and redundancy of our network. Horizons 3E
should be
provides
bit
additional resiliency
around
to our
yeah, it
Intelsat
is.
One Flex
It should be.
service platform, completing our global coverage and benefiting global maritime operators and corporate enterprise networks. On behalf of Intelsat's employees around the world, I'd like to thank our manufacturer,
It's accelerating till
and our
9
launcher Arianespace for their
kilometers.
commitment to delivering a successful program for Intelsat.
9 and a bit
We're
kilometers.
pleased to be part of the 100th launch of the Ariane 5 rocket. The Ariane 5 has launched 17 Intelsat satellites over the past 18 years. We extend our congratulations to Arianespace on this milestone. I'd also like to recognize the Intelsat team for their work on Horizons 3E. Your colleagues are proud of your technical excellence and leadership. We appreciate and applaud your efforts to make Horizons 3E a success. Finally, let me express my sincere appreciation to our customers for their continued trust and for taking this epic journey with us. Go Horizons 3E!
Epic indeed, and we've picked up the signal at the tracking station in Ascension Island, which is following us now. It's a volcanic island in the Middle Atlantic, halfway between South America and Africa. Top right hand of the screen you can see what we call a roller coaster. Before we were using all our energy to get away from the Earth, but now we are using it to go faster so that we can start going higher later in the flight. So we decreased our altitude a little bit to pick up speed. We need to climb to 1,108 kilometers to separate our first satellite. Let's turn our attention to Azerspace-2 Intelsat 38. Azerscosmos and Intelsat are sharing capacity on the same satellite, which is why it has the two names. And if we start by looking at the Azerspace-2, the satellite for Azerscosmos Open Joint Stock Company, it's a new satellite operator which is evolving fast, and it's the only operator in the Caucasus region. Azerspace-2 is a second satellite for Azerscosmos. Arianespace also launched the first one. That was in February 2013. Let's get a closer look at Azerspace-2 Intelsat 38.
I'm proud and excited to be part of Azerspace-2 project. This project is of great importance not only for Azerscosmos, but also for whole Azerbaijan. Our team has spent a lot of energy and dedication to make this launch possible, and finally this day has arrived. The Azerspace-2 satellite consists of 35 active K-band transponders. The satellite is designed to provide services such as digital broadcasting, internet access, data transmission, and the creation of VSAT multi-service networks, and other services for commercial and government customers. The satellite will be located at 45 degrees longitude and provide service in Europe, Central and South Asia, Middle East, and tropical Africa. This launch is not our first cooperation with Ariane Space. Our first telecommunications satellite, Azerspace-1, was also successfully launched by Ariane 5. So I would like to thank them for their reliable partnership and customer focus. I would also like to express my appreciation to the satellite manufacturer SSL, as well as Intelsat for their invaluable support during this program. It was a great pleasure for me to be part of such an experienced team. Good luck to all of us.
And you can see that we're tracking now the satellite, the launcher, using the ground station in Libreville, which is in Gabon, the west
just
coast of
under
Africa.
a kilometer
so
to
we've
go.
Crossed the Atlantic Ocean,
a kilometer
and you can see with
per second
trajectory
of
on the
speed
right-hand
to
side,
go. I mean,
really starting to climb into space now. So let's look at the Intelsat 38 part of Azerspace-2. Intelsat 38 spacecraft. It'll help Intelsat to expand its TV and broadband satellite services in Central Eastern Europe, Asia and Africa. It's a region where demand is growing very fast. Arianespace is proud that Azerscosmos and Intelsat chose them to launch their satellite because it shows their confidence in Europe's launch services. Let's get a little bit more information now on Intelsat 38's mission.
Thank you for joining us to watch the launch of the Intelsat 38 and Azerspace-2 satellite. It is great to be sharing this day with our partner Azerscosmos.
it was the same guy as from the Epic 3.
Distribution and broadband connectivity demands of Central and Eastern Europe, Asia, and Africa. Intelsat 38 will provide Ku band capabilities and deliver continuity of service for the Intelsat 12 satellite located at 45 degrees east. The satellite will host leading direct-to-home television platforms for the fast-growing Central and Eastern Europe and Asia-Pacific regions. It will support the growth objectives of our customers operating in these regions. Intelsat 38 will also provide critical broadband connectivity for corporate network and government services in Africa. None of this would be possible without the dedicated partners who share our commitment to build a more connected world. On behalf of Intelsat's employees around the world, I'd like to express our appreciation to Azerspace.
If I well understand the two satellites are for Intelsat. Well, actually, the second satellite is a shared one, so they share it between Intelsat and Azerspace, which is for Azerbaijan, and they share their capability. So that's why it has two names. Or that's why it has two names.
You can see the tracking stations there along the flight path. Galileo was the one back in the CSG, Natal in Brazil, Ascension Island, and now we're using Libreville on the west coast of Africa. You can see the little dot there on the screen is our launcher flying over the planet.
Just 2 minutes of
talk you through the screen. At the bottom of the screen there we had
propulsion left.
Altitude 344 kilometers and climbing. Look at the curve on the right hand side of the screen, really heading up into the skies now and into space. And our distance in the middle is actually the distance from the pad if you were to draw a straight line from the launch pad to the position where the launcher is. And on the bottom right hand side, on the right hand side is our speed, and it's kilometers per second, ladies and gentlemen, not per hour. We are traveling at phenomenal speeds. Azerspace-2 Intelsat 38 was built by Space Systems Loral, the US manufacturer based in California.
I'm getting sleepy here. So it just passed 500 kilometers. It's really climbing fast now.
Confirmation back there that we've picked up the signal now at the tracking station in Malindi. That's in Kenya. So we're crossing Africa and about to start heading out across the Indian Ocean.
Do you have a favorite rocket fuel? No, I don't.
What to do and when? Well, the upper stage has a brain.
I'm going to be designing a own orbital rocket for a school project, and I don't really know what fuels it's going to use yet, but if I finish that project I probably will have a favorite fuel.
Management system. And it analyzes information from the engines, the navigation, etc. And it actually makes decisions for the best outcome of the mission. So right now it's getting ready to switch off the engine. It'll send the cut-off command when it senses that the launcher is correctly orientated. So the launcher has to be on track, it needs to be going in the right direction. It needs to be on time, and the computer knows that it must fly from 0 seconds to 25 minutes and 25 seconds, and it has to be going at the right speed for us. That's 9.34, and the right altitude, that's 662 kilometers. And all those parameters are met, so we are now able to switch the engine off because the vehicle equipment bay onboard computer has sent the signal. So we're entering the next phase now of the flight.
Début des manœuvres de basculement au profit de horizon 3E.
So he's telling us that we are starting the maneuvers, the orientation maneuvers now. We're in what we call the ballistic phase. Ballistic means without propulsion. So we're travelling high enough and fast enough to cruise without the engine. I guess you could say that we're on celestial autopilot right now. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with a launch, Ariane delivers the satellites onto what we call a transfer orbit. For Horizon 3E, the first satellite to be released, that is just over 1,000 kilometers altitude. It's actually 1,108 kilometers above the Earth, to be precise. And it then has to travel to its final position in geostationary. Now, we are looking here at the teams in the CVI, the Real-Time Visual Control Center, and these guys and girls are receiving the information that comes in from the tracking stations that we've been looking at. And they make a quick selection of the information coming from Ariane to check how the flight is progressing in real time. And then they tell the range operations manager when they've confirmation of the main events, so that the range operations manager can then announce them to everybody else across the range. So he said début de la mise en spin, so the beginning of the spin maneuver. Some people like to call this process the space ballet. Basically, once we release the satellite, as I said, it has to travel to its final orbital slot 36,000 kilometers above the Earth. And so for it to be able to do that, we have to put it into a very precise attitude for its journey. Right now we are orientating the upper stage so that it can release the satellite onto its correct orbit. Our injection altitude for Horizon 3E, as I said, is 1,108, and this is the scheduled moment of separation.
Should wait for
Séparation horizon 3E.
Yes.
And we have confirmation there of separation
no applause yet.
Horizons 3E. You can see it on the right-hand side, moving away from the mothership. So congratulations to all the teams there. We do have separation, but of course we need to hear from the satellite, who needs to call home and tell us that it all is going well, and that's something we'll get. That acquisition is something we'll get later. So we still have Azerspace-2 Intelsat 38 attached, and that's got an even longer journey because we need to climb to 4,340 kilometers above our planet before we can.
How do they reorientate the second stage? There are tiny thrusters on the stage
3,000 kilometers or so. It's going to take about 14
I think they use the hydrogen from the second stage that has turned into a gas. They use that to reorient the stage. So it's called gas thrusters, but they use the hydrogen from the second stage. You can see them on top of the second stage. That's one of the thrusters.
For Horizons 3E, work is really just beginning for the Intelsat teams. And they'll certainly be concentrating very hard, I guess, right now, as they monitor their satellite's first maneuvers. They'll be watching over the satellite's activities in the coming months.
I think they oriented using the hydrogen, if I'm correct, but it also could be that they use the hydrogen.
Good evening, I'm Todd Schilb, the Intelsat Launch Vehicle Program Manager for Horizons 3E. I'm pleased to be back in Kourou for another launch campaign, and I'm especially excited to take part in the
He's really excited, you can see it.
An epic milestone for the Ariane 5 launch vehicle. It's also an epic event for Intelsat and JSAT, since Horizons 3E is the 5th epic satellite delivered by Boeing Space System. Thank you to everyone involved in this endeavor, and a special thanks to our dear friend and colleague, Christophe Bardou. He's been our partner in launching Intelsat satellites for over 30 years. Thanks again, Christophe. Go Horizons 3E. After separation from the launch vehicle, 7 apogee motor burns were planned, with the last one ending on the 6th of October. After that, solar panel and xenon thruster deployments will follow, and bus testing is planned to complete on the 13th of October. Payload testing will be next and will continue through the end of December, with the goal of entering Horizons 3E into service by mid-January 2019.
Bottom left-hand side of our screen, you can see there our altitude. We are really climbing now. Climbing into space. He was telling us that the maneuvers for the Silda are all going according to plan. You can see it there. It's that black structure at the front. So if you're unfamiliar with what we're looking at, to the left-hand side, the disc, if you like, the grey and white disc, that's what's left of the Ariane 5 launcher. It's called the upper stage, and the Silda is a very clever structure because it helps us and enables us to have dual launches on Ariane 5. And if you just look to the right-hand side of the screen at the Silda, the black structure, you can actually see where it's in 2 parts, rather like a fairing. You can see that sort of whitish
yeah, the man
is
no, he is reading from something behind the screen, which makes
the Silda
him
is especially designed
it makes him look
to,
stupid, but
dual launches.
I know why he looks like that.
It provides the attachment mechanism at the very front for the upper satellite, and in the same way that a fairing protects the satellite underneath, this is what the Silda is doing. But of course it's not protecting us from friction, because we don't have any friction up here now in space. So we've travelled 12,500 kilometres across our planet. Quite a distance. All, excuse me, all in 33 minutes and 29 seconds. There you go, that's a good shot there of our flight path. And our white dot is our our rocket, or what's
So I'm
left of it.
looking what the second stage uses as.
We're really climbing now in altitude, and you can see that on the right-hand side of our screen.
Propellant. Vehicle description, yes.
So the next thing that we will be waiting for will be the separation of the cylinder, which means Système de lancement double Ariane in French, system for double launches for Ariane. And of course the Ariane launch vehicle has, as we heard, undergone a lot of changes over the years, and Ariane 5 with its various versions capable
it
of
does
taking all
use
kinds
its
of customers to
hydrogen
all kinds
as
of different orbits.
fuel for
And
its
Ariane,
thrusters.
today the 100th Ariane of the ECA version, which has been the most used version of the Ariane 5 launch vehicle.
La manœuvre d'orientation au profil du Sildas se déroule nominalement.
And he's repeating again that the maneuver is all going according to plan.
Should we? So that should be separating in a few minutes now.
We're looking here at some images from the drone. This is actually the Jupiter Control Center, and that might look like the real Ariane on the pad there, but it's not. It was a model of Ariane 5, and it's actually not quite a full life-size model. It's probably about a three-quarter size model. Very lifelike. So we're looking here at the upper stage, the disc that's containing the vehicle equipment bay, which is guiding us. This is the scheduled moment now for separation of the cylinder. There it goes. You can see how it moves away in a very carefully planned set of maneuvers. It's called collision avoidance. It's all part of the plan.
Séparation du système de lancement double Ariane.
And now we have the confirmation there of separation of the cylinder. So we can see our satellite underneath for the first time, Azerspace-2.
Début de la manœuvre d'orientation au profit d'Azerspace-2.
Azerspace-2, I meant to say. Intelsat 38, and he's telling us now we have the beginning of the next set of maneuvers as we start the process now, getting closer now to separation of our second satellite. But we do have a little way to go. We've still got to climb above 4,000 kilometers above the Earth, and you can see again there the image.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. They should put more big bundles of rockets in park and stuff instead of those ugly sculptures they usually put in parks. Yes, definitely.
It's so thin, but let's go over now to another film.
Azerbaijan. We are Azerspace, premier satellite services operator in the South Caucasus. As of February 2013, we have played a role as an important gateway in a joint space that connects more than 50 countries in Europe, Africa, Central Asia, and the Middle East. In 2014, we took over the rights to operate and commercialize Azersky, high-resolution optical Earth observation satellite, and entered into the commercial business of Earth observation services. Now we are launching Azerspace-2 telecommunication satellite that will enhance our coverage area and spectrum of services. Built for Azerscosmos by SSL, Azerspace-2 is telecommunication satellite with 35 active transponder Ku-band payload. Its designed lifetime is more than 15 years. Azerspace-2 will serve Europe, Central and South Asia, the Middle East, and Sub-Saharan Africa with high-power Ku band from 45 degrees east. The new spacecraft is ideally designed for smaller antenna and has cross-connectivity between East Africa, West Africa and Central Africa, Europe and Central Asia. We are agile, and our activity is based on values such as integrity, customer satisfaction, professionalism, team spirit, and sustainable growth. At Azerspace, we are connecting people. For this, we utilize all the advantages of fast technological development. Technological development is based on human factors and designed for people. Azerbaijan recognizes that development of human capital is important for a better future for humanity. That is why we are bidding to host World Expo 2025 in Baku under the title Developing Human Capital, Making a Better Future. Technical excellence complemented by customized approach.
Lots of exciting things happening there at Azerspace for Azerbaijan. And this is the second time, of course, that Ariane Space has been supporting the development of Azerspace.
Poursuite nominale de la manœuvre d'orientation au profit de Azerspace-2, Intelsat 38.
And we launched the first satellite for them, Azerspace-2.
I need to go up just 200 more kilometers and then just under 100 now, and then they'll be separating
getting ready
the satellite.
Increase the coverage area and spectrum of services provided by Azerspace, so a very important satellite there, and also for
I don't know what's happening, but
also for our friends at Intelsat, Intelsat 38. So we're in the process of orientating the satellite. Just a reminder of the altitude we need to get to, 4,340 kilometers.
No, so
that is our injection altitude.
200 kilometers.
And our speed will be just over 8 kilometers per second, I believe. And you can see there our distance from the pad. We have travelled 14,500, nearly 15,000 miles. It's amazing to think that that thin blue line that we're looking at there, the atmosphere of our planet, is so thin, as I was saying earlier, in the sense that it's such a small line. It's our gas mask, the gas mask that is allowing Earth to thrive here on Earth. Sorry, allowing life, rather, to thrive here on Earth. And this is the scheduled moment now for separation.
Azerspace-2, Intelsat 38.
Yes. Why are the satellite oriented in the Earth direction for separation? I don't know. It's just a thing they do. It's not really. It doesn't really have a function.
Intelsat 38.
So yeah.
Congratulations.
That will end this stream. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next stream. If you don't, if you're subscribed yet, please subscribe, and yeah, like and share this this stream. It will be made available as soon as possible, and yeah. See you in the next launch at Astra to the stars.